First of all, hi and welcome everyone to the Konken Art 2021 Media Roundtable event. My name is Philip Klutas and I'm the head of international PR at Fjällräven. I'm super excited and happy to host this digital event today. I guess we all got used to this digital scenario now, sitting in front of the screen instead of meeting around a real campfire, what we usually do as an outdoor company. And I'm happy to give you today some more detailed insights on the upcoming launch of our new edition of the Konken Art that will be available in stores and on e-com on World Ocean Day, which is on the 8th of June 2021. I guess you all know the iconic Fjällräven Konken that is in our collection since 1978 and which actually started as a functional school bag but quickly became a global traveler and is now, I guess, visible in all of the streets where you are joining in from. So Konken made it across the world. The Konken Art project, however, was first introduced in spring-summer 2019 and is an ongoing concept of limited edition versions of Konken. They're designed by some of Fjällräven's favorite artists and creatives using our classic backpack as a canvas to express their relationship with nature. But with Konken Art, we not only want to inspire people through art. By donating a percentage of the proceeds from the sales of Konken Art, we also want to give back to nature. And we do that through the Arctic Fox Initiative that is supporting the work of different NGOs, protecting our environment and inspiring more people to spend time in nature. And to make the next 45 minutes or approximately 1 hour, depending on the amount of questions that you have, more interesting than listening only to what the PR guy has to tell, I'm happy to have Lynn Fritz, the artist behind this year's design called Ocean Deep and Ocean Surface, with us. Also in this round, I want to welcome Christiane Dolva, our Global Sustainability Director at Fjällräven. And also the two organizations that we will work with for this Konken Art edition. Welcome Dana Watts, Executive Director of the Leave No Trace Center for Outdoor Ethics, and Martin Dory, founder of the 2 Minute Foundation. Welcome in this round. After the first part, where we dive a bit deeper into the design, the Arctic Fox Initiative and the organizations, there will of course be time for your questions. And the easiest way is that you drop them here in the chat. I will try to manage and keep track of all of them. I guess we'll only have time to cover a few, which will be then going like this, that I will call you up and try to put you on the screen so you can ask your questions to the person that you want to ask the question to. Until then, I guess you all are already muted. Everyone is well prepared and trained with video sessions, I see. So then I guess we start the whole meeting today off with a short video that I want to show to you guys, and that shows a bit of Lynn's work and of course also her design.
I got really excited to create a pattern for the Konken, since growing up me and so many of my friends had one. My name is Lynn Fritz and I work as an illustrator and animator. I mainly work digitally with a wide range of editorial and commercial projects, creating characters and clean lines. So with this project, I decided to experiment a bit outside my everyday comfort zone. Growing up, my dad would never stop reminding me of the importance of being outside and taking care of nature. So for this Konken Art project, I want to bring awareness to one of the biggest concerns facing our oceans and our planet today. My Konken became an abstract pattern inspired by pieces of plastic.
Lynn, now that we have taken a little sneak peek into your work and had a glimpse on the pattern, can you tell us a bit about yourself, where you're from, where you live, and what your connection with Fjällräven and the Konken is?
Well, first of all, I'm super happy to be here. It's such a privilege, and I'm very excited. I've done my fair share of these Zoom calls over the years, or over this year. So this is probably going to be a good and easy one. So I grew up in the countryside, just outside Sundsvall, which is a city in kind of like in the north of Sweden. And just after I graduated from college, I moved to the south of Sweden to study at Hyper Island. And then today I live in East London, and I've lived here for almost 7 years now. And I work as an independent illustrator and animator. And as I mentioned in the video briefly as well, like I work with a wide range of commercial clients and editorial clients. And I also have a big passion project on the side. I'm co-founder of an organization called Panimation, which is kind of like a multi-platform community for equality-driven women, trans, and non-binary friends, aiming to connect and support each other within the animation industry. And I guess like my connection to Konken is very similar to a lot of other people's connection. It stems from a young age. I had one growing up, and my friends had one too. And also like my family is very outdoorsy, so I kind of feel like my brothers only dress in Fjällräven, to be honest.
Yeah, I guess everyone has their story around Konken to tell. What I'm super curious about is I just had a time when I tried out painting, and I was always struggling a bit with inspiration. So, yeah, how and where to start, but anyhow, I mean, I'm by no means an artist. But can you tell us a bit how a design process works for you? How do you start, and what is your source of inspiration in general? But also maybe a bit more specific. What has been the inspiration and the concept behind your pattern and design for this year's Konken Art?
So, I mean, obviously this project was a little bit different than I usually work. Most of my projects and my illustrations and animations are usually only surrounded around characters and character design. So obviously I use a lot of, real life human beings as a reference for that. And then this one, like in the video, I used cutout plastics, a lot of Google images of microplastic and stuff. So yeah, it was a little bit different. But obviously, like I've been given this opportunity to create this art pattern for Konken that so many people will be able to see. So I feel obviously super privileged. So that therefore, like I decided to do this, like I wanted to create something that would bring awareness to this massive issue that we are, that the whole world is facing right now. And that's why this Konken became this abstract pattern instead of characters. And also like my workflow is just a little bit different, I think, than a lot of other artists' workflow, because I mainly work, 100% digital. It gives me more freedom and more room for mistakes. So my workflow is very simple. I sketched in Photoshop and I finalized everything in Illustrator. And also, I just want to briefly mention that I had a very generous timeline from Fjällräven, which is highly appreciated. And it kind of like gave me the time to revisit old sketches, to find like new ideas in old ones. And it also allowed me to like, step back and take a breath and just shift my focus onto something else before coming back to the pattern again with fresh eyes.
Yeah, that sounds super great. And I guess for everyone who hasn't, I mean, I guess you all have now seen a short glimpse on one of the patterns, but to explain more what the design resembles. So the two designs that you created, the different colorways, one is called Ocean Surface and the other one is called Ocean Deep, right? And what I think is really interesting is the fact that, and this kind of explains everything. So Ocean Deep is kind of from the fish perspective to look at the plastic trash that's floating on the ocean, and Ocean Surface is more or less the view from a bird's eye seeing the plastic floating on top of the ocean. So that's, I guess, a perfect way of showing the problem. Was there anything especially rewarding or challenging that you felt about the project? And I guess somehow there's also a connection and what you want to achieve with the pattern to, I guess, create awareness. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, of course. Like, I felt like this project was very challenging. It was my first time creating something that would be, printed on a product. Because, like I mentioned before, everything I create is mostly just online work. And it's also very challenging to just create something for the everyday consumer rather than just for, a client. But obviously, like, I felt such a huge sense of reward the first time I got to see the bag, and like I just got the bag sent to me that day, and just seeing them was just absolutely amazing. And it feels even more special knowing that Konken are teaming up with organizations like you mentioned before in order to create awareness around ocean plastics. And for the future, I really hope Konken Art will just continue to use their platform for good and create awareness for different environmental causes.
Thank you, Lynn. That's really a great idea and a great way to create awareness. So the goal with the 2021 edition of Konken Art is, which is launching on World Ocean Day, as mentioned, is increasing awareness around the problems of ocean plastic. But not only through the design or the fact that it is made from recycled polyester and organic cotton, also through supporting the two organizations, Leave No Trace and the 2 Minute Foundation. So in general, Konken Art is supporting NGOs that actively work on protecting nature or inspiring people. But in this case, of course, it makes even more sense to work together with organizations that are actively working on the problems of plastics or litter in general that is in nature. And as mentioned earlier, every product sold contributes to Fjällräven's Arctic Fox Initiative Fund, which is supporting the different NGOs, and we're selecting different projects every year. Christiane, can you tell us a bit more about the Arctic Fox Initiative? What is it? How did it start? And are there already maybe some success stories to tell and to talk about?
Of course, Philip. Thanks. And hi, everyone. So the Arctic Fox Initiative was something that we started up in 2019, but actually it has roots way back, because ever since 1994, we have been supporting a project focusing on saving Arctic foxes. So Fjällräven means Arctic fox, so our namesake has always been close to our heart. And in Scandinavia, the Arctic foxes have actually been on the brink of extinction for a long time. So that means that we've been engaged in that topic through the Stockholm University since '94, both in contributing to the Arctic Fox project in Sweden and also with funding for PhD students at the Stockholm University to work with the Arctic Fox project, and having like volunteers out every summer to count the different cubs and collect data that has been crucial in order to understand what the challenges for the species has been, and also on solutions for how to help them. And in that work, and obviously also with us realizing that there's so many great organizations out there doing so much good stuff, we kind of know that we can do a lot, but together we can do even more. And therefore we chose to, a couple of years ago, kind of expand the Arctic Fox funding to a global initiative that we call the Arctic Fox Initiative, which is kind of our way of together with our users give back to organizations that share our same values of either protecting nature or inspiring more people to spend time in nature. And I think just with regards to, for example, results and success stories, of course, the long ongoing work on the Arctic fox research has really paid off, showing that the species is actually doing pretty well at the moment, which is nice. And also, actually, last year we expanded with one more participant in the Arctic Fox Initiative that is working specifically with Arctic foxes, because WWF Finland started up an Arctic Fox Initiative in Finland using the experience from the Swedish initiative to start the same work in Finland in order to get the Arctic fox population healthy and up and running also in Finland. But with the global reach that we have through both the Konken Art products and some other products that are in the Arctic Fox Initiative, we wanted to look outside of Sweden and Scandinavia, and also on a broader scale of different organizations. So throughout these past 3 years, we have been able to support organizations ranging from preserving Arctic foxes to the likes of Leave No Trace and the 2 Minute Foundation that we'll hear more about, but also a Swedish organization called Hey Främling, working with introducing new people coming to establish a new life in Sweden to the way of spending time out in nature that a lot of us Swedes or Scandinavians take for granted. And also last year, we added the organization Power to Be, which is an organization in Canada focusing on enabling people with either physical or mental disabilities to also get out in nature. We're also rolling out the training program through the German Ramblers Association in Germany, where they're training teachers on outdoor schooling and outdoor teaching. So it's a broad range of different organizations, and it's up for application. So each year you can apply to get funding. And I mean, basically our wish and our intent with this is just to see if we can somehow help out in terms of shedding some light on the great work that so many organizations out there are doing, and ensure that we can kind of connect with, hold hands with, and see if we can do even more together.
Yeah, that sounds great. And I guess we'll also, apart from all that, kind of also cover and follow the organizations along the way, and some of the projects that we have already supported. There's stories and bigger articles on our blog, on social, but also on the YouTube channel. And as you might have seen in the pictures just shown, we have already collaborated with the two organizations, Leave No Trace and the 2 Minute Foundation, and that has been quite successful. Now, with the theme of ocean plastics and litter in nature in general, we felt that it's actually a perfect match to continue our collaboration with those organizations working on exactly those matters. Dana, you are the executive director of the Leave No Trace Center for Outdoor Ethics. I'm sure people have at least heard about the Leave No Trace principle, but could you please tell us a bit about what Leave No Trace is, what your organization is doing?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Philip. I am delighted to be here. Leave No Trace is a nonprofit based in Boulder, Colorado, USA. In its simplest form, Leave No Trace is really a critical, meaningful way for people to protect the outdoors and the planet. It's based on 7 Leave No Trace principles, which are an education framework for making good decisions in nature, no matter how you choose to spend time outdoors. And why Leave No Trace? Because we know more and more people are getting outside today more than ever, particularly in this worldwide pandemic. So people seeking outdoor experiences. And based on our research, we know that 9 out of 10 people don't really know how to protect the outdoors. They don't have those Leave No Trace skills that allow them to minimize their impacts when they're outside. And that really means damage to nature. And some of the things that we're seeing and experiencing, as many of your listeners are, wildlife impacts, soil erosion, social impacts, and of course, water contamination and plastics. And one of the reasons why we're here today to really look at plastics. Plastics are everywhere. 73% of all beach litter is plastic. So they're a very big problem, but they don't have to be. Leave No Trace really believes that education is the answer. And it's successful. When people understand and practice Leave No Trace, our environment is in better condition. And we also know now that people can take these practices and this ethic that they have in the outdoors and apply that to their home life. So there's a direct correlation with this outdoor ethic and things, how you can minimize your impacts in your home life. We are ultimately trying to build an environmentally responsible global citizenry. So there are many ways that people can minimize their impact, and that's again why we're involved in this project, really focused on plastics.
All right, and for everyone that is thinking of buying a Konken art, maybe people here personally in the round, but also maybe the readers of their media outlets. Konken Art's contributing with every purchase, and parts go, for example, also to your organization. Can you share with us on how you will be using the funds generated through Konken Art?
Yes, absolutely. So it's a twofold effort. First and foremost, as I've mentioned, education, our number one priority. So really messaging to people about plastics in their daily lives and how they can reduce those plastics. And so we've all heard reduce, reuse, recycle, of course, but what about even refuse? So really understanding the products that you're buying, not buying products with single-use packaging, reusables, when you're going outside, repacking something so it's easier to pack it in, pack it out. So really the messaging behind plastics, so really that people have a very clear understanding of what plastics are doing to our environment, especially our oceans, and how to minimize the use of plastics. The second part is activation, and that's kind of a twofold effort for us as well. The first part is citizen science. How can we document and inspire and activate people to document on the ground conditions, beach conditions, water conditions, with this focus on plastic? So we really want people to get involved. We have a handheld app that works with most smartphones that they can actually be outdoors in natural environments and help log on and document what they're seeing and experiencing through this citizen science effort. And then one step beyond that is, what can people do? Bring a trash bag, get involved in cleanups. I know we're going to hear more about cleanups. Activate to participate in removing trash, not only from beaches, but then eventually from the ocean environment. So we really feel like by educating, number one, and then involving people is going to make a significant difference with plastics and the problem that we're experiencing with oceans.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I guess that's also a great moment now I think you've seen the trash bag in some of the pictures that we have shown. So the Konken Art will come with the trash bag as long as we have them on stock. So when you buy in the brand stores, in the Fjällräven brand stores, but also online, the Konken Art will come with the trash bag that is actually made out of leftover fabric. And since leftover fabrics are, of course, limited, there's also just a limited amount of those trash bags. However, I guess everyone can either take the Konken Art trash bag, but also any other trash bag to pick up litter. And thank you, Dana. That's been super interesting, and kind of also interesting is that, Martin, when you founded the 2 Minute Foundation, which was earlier called the 2 Minute Beach Clean, the problem of ocean plastics and the plastic and trash on the beaches, that was very much the starting point for you. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. I have to say I'm so inspired by hearing Dana's words about the Leave No Trace, because it's exactly where we're at as well with the 2 Minute Foundation. The 2 Minute Beach Clean started off with one beach walk, discovering a piece of beach that was knee deep in plastic bottles. And I vowed there and then that I would do something about it. And it kind of morphed and changed. And eventually in 2013, we had a huge storm here in England. And I decided that I would use social media to try and inspire people to pick up. And that the idea that 2 minutes is nothing is kind of like, you know, if your car's broken down, you can say to someone, have you got a couple of minutes? No one's going to turn you down. Have you got a couple of minutes? Okay, should we clean up the world? And that's the idea that you know, the 2 Minute Beach Clean is literally 2 minutes out of your life where you can go and just pick up litter. And what I wanted to do was to try and kind of inspire people to change the way they visit outdoor spaces. So that actually when you go to the beach, that actually taking 2 minutes to pick up is a natural part of that process. So that actually you thank the ocean for giving you the joy by giving back to it, by picking up plastic for 2 minutes. And it's amazing how much you can pick up in 2 minutes. You know, years ago we were picking up more big stuff. Now we're picking up small stuff. I've got my little pot of plastics here that actually, look at that, that could be on the Konkan, couldn't it? So basically we set up a bunch of stations in the southwest in the UK where people could borrow litter pickers and take a bag and go off and do 2 minutes on the beach. We started off with 8 and we started off with one hashtag on Instagram. Now we've got over 900 of these stations around the UK and Ireland. And I just checked on Instagram, there's 154,000 posts using 2 Minute Beach Clean, which equates to a huge amount of plastic being picked up off the beach. We've since gone inland with the 2 Minute Litter Pick, and also with the 2 Minute Street Clean. And also we're trying to go upstream. So this is where the Leave No Trace idea comes in. We're talking about the 2 minute solution, which is simple things that you can do to make changes that will make a difference upstream. So recycling, reusing, you know, that kind of stuff.
That sounds great. And is there a particular tip that you would give anyone who, you know, I mean, everyone, I guess, who's seen litter when walking out in nature or at the beach? Is there anything that you could give as a tip to people to what to do?
Yeah, I mean, you can make stories from it. You know, I mean, I've got my little pot here, as I said, and I've got things from, you know, a little bit of toy plastic that fell off a container in 1996. I've got a lobster tag which has come from Maine, from a lobster pot, and I've got all this kind of interesting stuff, a little toy soldier and some netting and stuff. You can find stories in the litter. It doesn't just have to be annoying bottles or annoying bits of rope. There's stuff to find, and you can get so deep into it if you want to become a real plastic nerd, or you just want to be someone who walks away from the beach knowing that it's nicer than it was when you got there. That's really special in itself.
Yeah, I kind of like the saying, one man's trash is another man's treasure. And I guess every piece of trash can also be a bit of a treasure, trying to find the story behind it. So maybe that's also an interesting part, just to find stories in the trash, and not only doing good for nature, but also kind of being a little bit of a detective yourself.
We have an app too, and we log the litter, and actually it's really interesting to see what kind of litter is being picked up. And interestingly, I don't want to digress too much here, but we found that there were 7 items that make up a third of litter picked up or logged with our app. And they were cotton bud sticks, crisp packets, plastic bags, bottles, bottle tops, you know, all the stuff that we all use every day. And actually the message from that is that actually, if you stop using these things, you can stop a third of beach litter. How about that for you are powerful as an individual. That's really good stuff for me.
I totally agree, and I see a lot of trash in nature. You know, we have an old camper van, and sometimes we just take it out in nature, south of Munich, where I live. and you can always find trash everywhere. So this is also hard because people go there to enjoy nature, and at the same time people are destroying it. So that's a bit weird, and I still don't understand what makes people just throw trash in nature. But now that with the fundings through Konken Art and the Arctic Fox Initiative, you've already received some from the edition in 2019, but now I guess the next fundings will come. So can you tell us a bit of what have you done with the fundings, and what will you use the fundings from Konken Art 2021?
Yeah, of course. We are eternally grateful to Fjällräven for everything they've done for us. We have this network of, as I said, 900 beach cleaning stations. Now they all need to be topped up with bags and litter pickers. We're now using bags that are recycled tent fabric from tents that have been left at festivals. So we're closing the loop on that fabric. And we're basically, what we've done is set up a network of guardian angels who are the people who look after our stations. I think we've got something like 40 of them now in the southwest of the UK. And what they do is they do beach cleans, and they organise local beach cleans. They get involved with their community, and they go and sometimes into schools, do education. And what we're doing with the money that will come next is actually set up our Guardian Angel Academy. Now that will be, let's put it simply, like teaching the next generation of ultimate beachcombers. So we're going to bring together a lot of agencies to do wildlife rescue and beach cleaning and education, and teaching kids how to do rock pooling, and maybe even learn about seaweeds or stuff that's edible on the shore, but also learning about how to do a beach clean properly, how to do a risk assessment, how to identify different types of plastic, and how to reduce that plastic. So it's really all about education and spreading the word through this network and educating the next generation of educators. It's really exciting for us, and we are so grateful.
Yeah, and I hope that everyone here in this round, we're in the media, we have our networks, I think we all can be part of this and spread the word, and I guess that's the reason why you are invited, and this is also why and how we are going to use our channels to create more awareness about the problem. We'll also cover more stories with you and your organization, Martin, but also Dana with the Leave No Trace Network within the blog and our social networks, and give tips and tricks on what you can do, every one of us can do in the outdoors to kind of remove trash, or even not even start with using products that will end up after a single use or 2 uses or whatever. So that's a goal, and I guess we all in the media world have something to tell here, and I'm happy to now go into a bit of a Q&A session, and I've seen that there's already some questions in the chat. But if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat, or we can also try it. I don't know if that will work, but if you want to lift your hand if you have a question, and then unmute yourself and just say who you want to ask the question to, then we can make this a bit more interactive than using the chat, if that is fine for everyone. So are there already any questions? Natasha.
Hi. Hi, I'm Natasha Bloemhard from Salt Magazine in the Netherlands. I just have a question. I really like the new product. It looks very good, great design, and I love the storytelling as well. But is the storytelling come along with the product? What if you are a customer in the shop? How much do you hear from the whole story behind and all the project that goes along with it?
Yeah, and maybe that's a bit up on me to answer, but also then I guess Christiane can also talk a bit about it. So of course it will be part of our communication. As mentioned, we're going to communicate around it. So first of all, we're going to use World Ocean Day as the launch day to kind of create the awareness. I mean, there's a lot of awareness around the topic on that day, and we'll try to use it. Launching Konken Art, I guess, then the story is very much on the front to talk about the problem of ocean plastics. We are going to talk about, as you've seen in the video with Lynn, we're going to talk about the inspiration, where the pattern comes from. And then, of course, in the stores and on e-com, you will get, together with the purchase, you will get the trash bag, and there will be tips and tricks on what you and every one of us can do. But then, as mentioned, we will definitely use our channel that we have as Fjällräven, with quite some significant followers as well, to create awareness and motivate people and inspire people to go out in nature and kind of contribute in picking trash and litter, and also educate together with the two organizations on how you can prevent creating trash and using single-use plastics, and what every one of us can do. And I guess then on the Arctic Fox Initiative side, Christiane, there's also something going on. We're continuously covering the stories that we have already worked with the organizations, but also in the future, right?
Yeah. So all products that contribute to the Arctic Fox Initiative, they have a special hang tag that outlines the initiative and what you're contributing to, and also with the reference to the webpage for more information. And then we have in-store materials such as small information plaques and so on. And on this particular Konken Art pattern, we're also using it a bit to push ourselves to see what we can do as a brand to further reduce our contribution to plastics in the world. So we're using this as a pilot to globally ship the products without a single polybag wrapping. And that will also come as a little bit of an information piece. Not that it's a revolutionary step, even if it actually is, unfortunately, very common to ship everything in polybags. So it turned out to be a lot more challenging to get all the players in line in order to be able to manage without, but it's taught us a lot, and that will also come as a little bit of an information piece. And for us, it's a tiny first step that will hopefully give us a lot of insights to further expand what we can do.
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting because, as you mentioned, it's not as easy to just erase like a plastic bag from this whole chain of production, delivery, etc. So even though it sounds really small, like a small thing, just remove the plastic. It is more complicated and makes us also part of the problem, which we of course don't want to be, but which is sort of hard for the industry, I guess. Is there any other questions right now? Otherwise, I would have a question actually, and that would go to Lynn, because I mean, with your pattern, you want to raise awareness about ocean plastics, but is there like a personal story to this? How you came across this problem? Is there like a sort of connection to it that, or a moment where you realized all the trash and what's wrong in this world? Was there like one trigger or something like that?
I think plastic and pollution it's so easy to just oversee it somehow. You can walk along the street and you see, pollution or like littering or whatever, like, and you don't really acknowledge it, which is so crazy. So yes, this is a personal story actually. And when I started developing this pattern for Fjällräven, I started thinking back at my upbringing and growing up in the countryside, and the nature is absolutely amazing and beautiful. And I started thinking about memories, and most of my memories from growing up kind of all surrounds water in a way, because we used to live next to this lake and a massive river, and me and my best friend would be there like literally all the time. And keep in mind that this is kind of pre-computer games phone era. So we would actually be outside all summer, and we would go swimming and fishing, and like going for boat rides or just sitting in peace at the water. And the thing is, like, because I moved ages ago, and we've known each other for like over 20 years now. And every time I go home to visit her, we kind of have this as tradition to still hang out around the water. And I started noticing more and more when I got home there that even though this is a lake in the middle of nowhere, there's still plastic litter scattered around it. So that's when that kind of because it just hit home in a way. And that's when I started understanding this is actually a massive problem. And I know this is obviously, it kind of sounds a bit dumb and cheesy, but I know the issue is, much bigger than this. And just by reading up a bit about ocean pollution in general, or looking at the closest beach, you can see all of this. And I think that everyone kind of feels, or at least I felt, inspired to make a change. But I think it's very tough to know what to do and where to start. And obviously, initiatives like, the 2-Minute Foundation is absolutely brilliant, because that's something everyone and anyone can get involved in.
Mm. Yeah, totally. And I guess my next question would then be, Dana and Martin, do you have some insights on the problems of ocean plastics and litter in general, and where you see the biggest challenges, but also then at the same time, what can every one of us do? What is the easiest thing that every one of us can do?
Well, I'll just jump in quickly. Yes, I think that that point about that you don't always see it because our oceans are so vast, and sometimes it feels like trash, especially what Martin was pointing out, these pieces of micro trash, they get kind of consumed in these vast water bodies, and it doesn't feel like it's a problem. But then when you see the visuals of where they're collected, and it's astounding. And so I think that bringing even that awareness to people is really important, but then how easy it is to make a difference. And again, this is our point and Martin's point. It's not hard. It doesn't even take that much time. So educating people and heightening that awareness is one of the most important things that we can do. And then in terms of what can people do anytime and to be thinking about is when you're outside, and this of course applies to any natural environment, is bringing your own water bottle and reusable products with you. So really trying to reduce buying plastic products and the consumption of plastic. Second is packing out your own trash and bringing a small bag always with you, a trash bag, to be able to pack those, not only yours, but potentially other discarded waste out with you if you can. And then maybe finally, the third point would be to choose different forms of containers if you need to. So aluminum is a better choice than plastic. We know some plastic takes 100 to 500 years to break down. Other plastic does not break down. So there's heightening that level of awareness in terms of plastic not really breaking down or being biodegradable at all. And then a lot of times it lasting forever in nature or in landfills. So those are the easy things that people can really do to make a difference.
I mean, if I can add to that, I mean, that's pretty much bang on as far as I'm concerned, Dana. But it's worth thinking about that. Microplastics is the big problem. That's fibers from your clothes or plastic bottles that are broken down. And it's really difficult to pick that stuff up, and it's really frustrating to see it on the strand line on the beach. Going off in a line of hundreds and hundreds of meters. And you can sweep it up with a brush, and we've done it, and float it off in a bucket of water, and the sand will sink and the plastic will float. You can do that. But actually, it's there already, and actually there's so much of it that you just have to remember that the thing to do is not to contribute more to it. So each plastic bottle that you use, a plastic water bottle or a pop bottle or whatever, potentially will break down into 1,000 pieces of microplastic. So actually, your one bottle that you're not buying every day, instead you're using your reusable drinks bottle, is 365 bottles a year, that times 1,000 that isn't going onto the beach. And that's the thing. And I used to have a thing where I used to say about, I don't want to be the person that walks past the piece of rope that goes on to strangle the dolphin, and that's the principle. So actually, if you see it, pick it up, leave it nicer, as Dana says, when you get anywhere, leave it better than it was when you got there. But also just remember that you can make a difference by making choices with your wallet. Choose decent clothes that last a long time, choose reusables, and choose non-packaging. And those things are actually, they're hard, but they're relatively easy.
Yeah, totally agree. And I mean, I guess everyone here knows a bit Fjällräven, and that's also what we kind of see as the biggest impact on sustainability is actually longevity. So kind of reducing the carbon footprint by not buying again and again. But now our industry, the outdoor industry, has seen quite a significant move within, especially I'd say the last year now with the pandemic going on, and we've seen an increased interest in the outdoors. There's more people in the parks and nature than ever before. Do you see any effects from this when it comes to litter in nature? Have you seen an increase, and is there something that you feel is, because I mean I at least have heard stories from Swedish national parks with a lot of people out there going trekking, enjoying nature, but maybe not having those routines or knowledge on how to behave out in nature. Is there something that you realize? Is it getting more?
Shall I jump in quickly? I'll just do the first bit, Dana. So, I mean, we're seeing face masks on the beach, no doubt about it. They're turning up. PPE is turning up all over the place. It's not a tidal wave, but it's going to be. And actually, we need to do something about it. So, the reusable mask is simple. And actually, what Leave No Trace and the 2 Minute Foundation are both doing, by the sound of things, is education. And we have to meet these people at every touch point. We have 2-minute litter pick stations in the national parks in the UK, which the rangers put out at difficult spots where they have a problem with litter, in order just to maybe just remind people that there's a problem there, and if they wanted to clean up, they could, but maybe just don't leave it in the first place. So it's all about education, it's all about inspiration, and all about positivity as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, yes, we are seeing more. We're people getting out more. They need that connection to nature, which is actually a really good thing. We want that. We want people to be outdoors. It's a healthier lifestyle. That's a good thing for all of us. But at the same time, we're seeing impacts across the board. So it's plastics, and it's some of the other things that I mentioned, erosion and contamination and wildlife issues. And that's absolutely something we see with ocean plastics and the effect that microtrash and these things have in ocean and wildlife mammals. I think one of the things that we know from the work that we do is people want to do the right thing. They don't always know what that means or what that looks like. And again, if we can connect them to these messaging and skills that are easy, and they understand the why we're asking them to do something. So if we can make that connection that trash actually can harm or kill an animal, that is compelling information, and it really prompts an action. And so that's important for people. And it's also a very empowering thing. People want to take care of nature. They don't always know what that means or what that looks like. So that we feel like that's our job, to really inspire and get that information to people so they can make the best decisions when they're in the outdoors.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think like really having this picture in front of you when you see trash at the beach, that it could harm an animal, I think that has quite an impact, or at least I can tell for myself that definitely changes, and I think that's a good thing to have just top of mind. Is there any other questions in this round from any of the participants here that you want to raise? No? I guess that's one good sign, because then we covered already quite a lot, which makes me happy. If you didn't feel like posting your question here in this round, there's still, of course, the opportunity to drop me an email. Everyone should have my email address from the invitation that you got. So if there are any questions that, when digesting what was talked about, if stuff comes up and you want to ask questions, then just send them over to me via email, and I will try to answer them and maybe consolidate Dana, Martin, or Christiane or Lynn to get you the right answers. Of course, as you probably know, on the press room, it's www.press.fjällräven without the dots on the a.com. There you find some information on Konken Art in the press kit. I'll share that link with you later on as well, so you can read up on everything and get some insights. Also, kind of read up on what we do with the organizations, the trash bag. See also the different Konken Art versions that are coming out. And other than that, I'm really looking forward to the launch and to work closely together with you, Dana and Martin, on the future of the content, and also trying to really make a change with this, but also with other projects. And if there are no other questions, then I want to thank everyone in this round for listening in, for joining, for asking questions, of course also for answering all of the questions that were there. Natasha, I can see you raised your hand. Go ahead.
Yeah, one more question left. Are all the Konken bags, are they all the same? Or is every bag unique because they have a different part of the pattern?
Yeah, the pattern is actually printed on, like it's oversized, so the pattern is printed on a piece of fabric that is bigger than what we use for one Konken. So the pattern will always be a bit different because you use different parts of the whole fabric roll. So every Konken will look a bit different, but of course there's the two patterns, and then just where each of the different plastic pieces are sitting, that will change a bit from Konken to Konken. So you can find your unique one within the range, of course. And then you have the normal Konken Art, so the original size. We have a laptop version. There's a mini version available, and then the Konken Sling. So not even just the pattern, but also the format you can pick and choose. Great. Then thanks everyone. I really wish you a great evening, and I hope you find, or evening or morning in other time zones. I hope you find the time to go out in nature, and also hope to see you soon when hopefully the pandemic is over, to see you out in nature in Sweden, in the US, in Germany, or wherever you are. Thank you for joining. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.